I would like to acknowledge the Minjibil people of the Bundjalung Nation, the traditional custodians of the land I live, and honour and pay my respect to elders past, present and future, and extend that respect to any Indigenous persons present today. My name is Makayla and I identify as a proud fourth generation Australian South Sea Islander and belong to two huge islander families on the Tweed. Within these families, many of my relatives also identify as Aboriginal Australians, but despite this, I've experienced great confliction regarding my own identity as an Indigenous person, as I am unaware of my exact family tree. Despite this though, because of these relational ties, I've been exposed to Indigenous history and culture since I was born, which has allowed me to view their culture in a positive and respectful way. As I ventured around my hometown to seek any evidence of local Indigenous culture, I began with the expectation it would be an easy and rewarding task. But unfortunately, my high hopes led me to a huge disappointment, as I found that the expression of this withstanding and unique culture was minimal, especially compared to the expression of white Australian history. There was little attempts to pay respects to the languages, traditions, knowledge and history of the Minjibil people, which has been a common behaviour since the time of invasion, and coincides with the many attempts of assimilating Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people into white society. Any expression of Indigenous culture was placed in quiet, rundown, hidden places that received minimal exposure to the local community. The minimal sites and memorials dedicated to local Aboriginal community was not maintained, nor were they explained of their significance and purpose, which not only made me feel extremely sorry for the people who created these pieces of art, but made me feel guilty that I had not noticed this before. The only time mainstream society expressed Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander culture was when it was exploited for the possibility of gaining profits, which was aimed towards tourists who were unaware of the devastating history of this country. On the other hand, as I walked, countless memorials and statues paying respects to white Australian history was evident everywhere, and for the first time, only due to my critical observation of my surroundings, I discovered that the most famous destination in my area was dedicated specifically to the famous Captain Cook and his pride in declaring the false claim of Terra Nullius and discovering Australia. I asked myself, where were the memorials for the thousands of lost Aboriginal men, women and children over the past 300 years, and why was there no mention of the systematic oppression, destruction and exploitation of Aboriginal people? As I knew the answer from what I've learnt throughout my education, strong emotions including frustration and anger still surfaced as I walked and discovered how society and the privileged, powerful elite is playing the role of the oppressor all around me. The tears fell down my face as I was becoming even more aware of the systematic oppression of Indigenous people in my area. These huge and noticeable structures placed in the most visible areas enforce the values of contemporary Australian society and maintain the ideology of white Australia. That history only began when the British arrived and the Indigenous people have played no role in the progress of Australia as a nation. By making the Indigenous culture seemingly invisible, not only reinforces the unfortunate irrelevance of it within our society, but also removes the ability for Indigenous Australians to feel like their own culture and identity is valued in their surroundings. I feel heartbroken when reflecting on how it must feel to be a part of a culture whose mere existence for thousands of years was based on the deep connection with the surrounding land, now be faced daily with the clear denial and disrespect of their way of life. I'm grateful though, that despite the minimal evidence of Indigenous culture in my hometown, I can still feel and experience the natural landscape by knowing that once upon a time, an extremely smart and caring people took care of it and lived here.